And we are live.
We're doing it!
Live chair burning for us Patreon poors. I don't think it's going to be live.
No, probably won't be live. Largely because if the cops get called on us, we want to be able to run away.
It will be scripted and edited, and it will be entertaining.
I want to see Corbin run away to the Jackass theme song. So welcome to our live AMA. We got some people hanging out already with us. Some people came over from the Patreon exclusive pre-AMA Jason Drinks to Beer Party.
Hours.
Yeah, pre after hours. Thanks for coming back over. Thanks for joining us. We are doing this because Corbin. Like we were supposed to record earlier this week. He's like, I got laryngitis. He said that in a text, but I'm assuming he got laryngitis. So he couldn't talk, and we're like, yeah, let's just wait till later in the week. And Corbin's like, I don't have laryngitis anymore, but it takes an hour to put my kid to sleep. So he's probably not going to be here.
JJ, if I copy this link in the top of the Google Hangout window and post that, does that work? You see how it's like hangouts.google/blah blah 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 blah.
Yeah, don't give that link. That link I think will allow people to join our call.
I guess I'll just tell you guys. I cracked this in the pregame, but this is Boss Tweed from Old Nation. It's an unfiltered IPA with 3 kinds of malt, 4 kinds of boil hops, and 4 kinds of dry hops. It's fantastic. It doesn't keep very well, so Old Nation tends not to ship much out of Michigan, so it's kind of hard to get. I'd have to bring you some personally, probably. Because it's unfiltered, it just sort of the yeast the sediments just sort of get into a bigger and bigger ball until there's nothing left to drink, I guess. Pick of the week, we put those in the spreadsheet.
We didn't have one from Corbin because he never answered me, but
Dogfish Head's good. I like I like some East Coast beers. Dogfish Head 120 is one of my favorites. You know, I don't know if we consider this the East Coast, but Cigar City in Tampa is just starting to ship elsewhere, and their Highlight IPA is actually pretty good. I don't really like IPAs that much, except this one, I guess. Boss Tweed's fantastic, but yeah. I like some East Coast beers.
I got you. I'll post it in Discord.
But Michigan's so good, like why not just Russian River it's both good and played out, I would say. Right? Like it's sort of the best, but like the extent to which it's the best is a little overblown. So it's a little overrated, but like it's still good, but like people talk about it like it's better than it is. It can still be good and overrated at the same time, I think. Okay, noted. Vermont. Yeah. I feel like a lot of places used to be the best just because nobody else was competent. Like I feel that way about Bell's. Like everyone still acts like Bell's is way better than is, but like everywhere else in Michigan is as good as Bell's or better. Good point, Eric. Do we want to get into the meat of the MTG finance stuff? What do we want to do here?
Do you want to throw a Patreon pitch out first?
Well, all right. Sure. Those who were able to join us earlier are Patreons at patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery for as little as $1 a month, which is 20 or 25 cents an episode. You can have access to our Discord server where we announced we'd be doing this AMA. I don't know how you found out about it otherwise. Facebook maybe, or Twitter, or Reddit. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for our patrons who got us over our goal to not only burn Corbin's chair, but we crashed past that goal onto the next one, which is the have a GP party at one of the coming up GPs in 2019, and also have our wives come on a special wife episode of the podcast and talk shit about us. So we hit both those goals in the same week. We really appreciate your contribution. We think you should be at the $5 level just because we don't get your address if you're at the $1 level. So at 5, 10, 20, and 40, there are better perks. There are these handsome drinking glasses are available to some of our patrons. We have tokens. We're doing new tokens. It's all kind of cool shit. So Thank you for being a patron or for considering it. We still can't believe we get our weird magic lifestyle subsidized by this, but we mostly try to waste your money. Like we try to waste your money. I tried to throw $1,000 away on a weird boondoggle when I screwed up the Teespring order. If you did send your stuff in and got some sort of confirmation that they gave you credit, which I didn't get, so I hope I just didn't pay $30 for shirts and then not get them back. We're gonna do the Teespring again here soon with a better design. So that whole fiasco, they wouldn't just let us pay for new shirts to send to all of you. They wouldn't do it. So we're sorry about that. We're trying to waste your Patreon money. We're gonna spend some on gasoline to burn Corbin's chair. So it'll be good.
I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know about
when our glasses getting shipped out again. Asks Will Smith.
I'm doing them like once a month, just so I only have to do like 4 or 5. So you won't share our addresses. If you email us, DJ will read it on the cast by accident.
Wait, why does my wife have a blue name? Does she have mod powers in this chat?
She does. That happened last time, despite your protest.
Nice.
Corbin is. We have a Corbin bot in the chat.
I think that is actual Corbin.
No, it's a Corbin bot.
Yeah.
It's just like the Discord Corbin bot.
I'm on my phone. I'm still on hour 2 of the bedtime dance. Who's this mystery man? This is JJ. He's the man that makes the magic happen. Anytime you're like, why is Jason 3 times as loud as everybody else? Fucking JJ. That's the fucking JJ.
MTG Thick Decks. Ooh, wow, that's a name that I probably shouldn't let go through the.
It's actually his name is not JJ. It's his nickname JJ because that's his cup size.
It's true. I'm sorry. Is Jason too loud? I can nerf him into oblivion. I have that.
Oh, good one.
I have that power to do that live. Like, talk now, Jason, for us.
Hi, everybody. Really?
Is that better, guys?
Is that
Speaking of Jay, hey, is your middle name Johnson? No, that is my last name. My middle name is Jeffrey.
Did you think his name was Douglas Johnson Johnson?
Kudos to your parents.
His dad named him Johnson Johnson so he wouldn't cry as a baby.
Or so I put asbestos in a bunch of...
That's a dumb joke. All right.
Or so
what is your middle name? Is it just the letter J?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey?
Yes, because my dad's name is Jeff as his first name, so it's Douglas Jeffrey Johnson.
Oh, that's cool. I thought it would be more embarrassing than that. Oh, Emily would have ratted you out even if you hadn't said it. Nice.
I mean, I'm not ashamed of my middle name.
It's a sore subject.
Some people are like, my middle name is Mike and I hold it close to my heart. Like, come on, man. I don't know.
Some people act like it's Rumpelstiltskin and it's like going to give away their secret power if you know their middle name.
See, DJ wants to do New York, Corbin wants to do Oklahoma City, and I want to do Detroit. So
I don't want to do New York.
You don't want to do the party at New York? I suggested somewhere central like Indianapolis or St. Louis.
Or like Oklahoma City.
Yeah, no.
We're the biggest, so Kyle, the biggest thing we're waiting on is Corbin's employment status for 2019.
We're going to try to do a GP. He's already working because his wife won't let him go otherwise. New York does sound miserable because it was in like New Jersey or some shit. Yeah.
Well, there's the GP in New York this coming year is GP Niagara Falls. There is a separate GP. Like they tried doing GP New Jersey and calling it GP New York, and they got called out on. I believe that was in 2015 or 2016. So that one is no longer GP New York because that one they wanted to call it GP New York City just for it to get the attention. And then it's like, oh, this is at the Somerset Convention Center. This was GP New Jersey last year. What the fuck? So. It is GP Niagara Falls is the GP that is in New York, and it is on the American side, which is worse than the Canadian side.
All right, so we're not doing that. We'll figure it out. It kind of depends on Corbin. It's like everything. It just like we want to DJ and I want to do something cool, and then Corbin fucks it up for us. We can do
Columbus or Pittsburgh. Columbus is not a bad option.
Pittsburgh is kind of a trash city, but Columbus could be good. The Canadian side of Niagara Falls is lit, yeah. That's true. So do we want to start getting into some of these questions that people have submitted through Reddit? We're going to keep an eye on the chat if one of you guys asks a good question or says something funny.
Actual questions or say cool things in the chat.
Yeah, we'll react to it, but we got...
If it's a shitty question, you'll know because we won't say anything about it.
Yep.
All right.
This one comes to us from Windmagus on Reddit. When I reviewed my collection to see if I could buy list any of them, I noticed that many of my cards are LP or worse. Can I still buy list those? If so, what are the challenges?
If they're not near mint, it's up to the discretion of the buyer. Some people won't buy them at all. They'll send them back. Card Kingdom has a tendency to mark them down. I just send everything and pretend it's all near mint, and they'll be like, some of this wasn't near mint. I'm like, oh, for real? And then they pay less, and you're like, whatever. So depending where you send it to, some places just won't take it.
Yeah, Card Kingdom specifically, which is generally the buy list a lot of us use just because the numbers they pay, they will accept anything, and they will just auto-grade it and pay you the money unless you put a disclaimer in there. If you send a note in there saying, hey, if any of these are near mint, please send them back. If any of these are less than near mint, let me know, or let me know the percentage before email, blah, blah. You can request all of that. But if you leave that note blank, then they will just auto deduct based on condition, which is what I always do. It's just, I'll be like, this is an MP, whatever, but you're paying 30% of like more than retail on it. So it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
The only thing they will send back are damaged cards or things they consider worse than poor. And then they will deduct it out of your total to ship those back to you. So if you are looking to sort of cheese it and like risk it, then just for 1 or 2 damaged cards, then you probably lose more than that just on the cost of return shipping instead of just having the cards sent back. So
I've had cards that were like jacked up beyond recognition not get sent back, but they sent back cards that smelled like cigarette smoke. So don't buy from a smoker.
Yeah.
Nobody wants cigarettes smelling cards.
One other thing, if you're selling at a GP, there are a lot of vendors that will have their own just personal discretion. Like some vendors will treat near mint and LP as the same as long as they're staples. Foils are very, very particular. A lot of vendors are very, very specific on foil conditions because people who are buying foils really want them to be near mint.
The kind of person that's going to spend extra for a foil is going to want a jacked up one.
Yeah, so yes, you'll get less for LP, MP cards generally. I really enjoy selling played cards on TCG Player because you only have to list it slightly lower than the near mint copy. So, like, if Parallel Lives is $13 for near mint, you can list like an LP or an MP one for like $12.59, and as long as it's the cheapest listing, it'll still just sell within a couple hours. So I really like
because of the card optimizer. If people go for the cheapest, it'll throw an LP copy in there sometimes.
I mean, it's not even just the card optimizer, right? If you just go to TCG Player and remove all the filters, people will just click the cheapest one. So
yeah,
it's just automatically sorted by price anyway. So I really like played cards as long as I know that I can move them, as long as they're staples, like, and just quality stuff. Played foils are very, very, very bad. Like LP foils are okay, but MP foils are just impossible to move a lot of the time. So.
Oh, I got a story. I was buying on Card Shark back in like 2011, and I figured out that when it said damaged most of the time, it meant that there was a signature. So I was just buying damaged cards because I like signatures, and someone had drawn a dick on the pernicious deed in Sharpie, and they're like, damaged. I was like, it's the signature. Whose signature is that? Turns out it's Arcade Post. His signature is a big veiny cock, so... The erased border cradle, I don't know, sell it to Michael Tabler in Ohio, he'll buy it. Stuff like the erased border, stuff like that, you don't have to sell it for that much cheaper. I'd pay $200 for an erased border cradle all day.
You can find some sociopath on Facebook who's willing to pay more.
Explain to people who don't know what the erased border is.
They just took the black border and erased it with an eraser, now it's a white border.
Oh, okay.
So there are people that do that. Their whole vintage deck is white border because they just erased them.
There's a girl who has an entire Legacy Storm deck. I think it's like High Tide or Storm or something, where it's just all white border Scalding Tarns, white border duels, white border everything. Did UMA just level out already? Buy cards if you need them.
I mean, buy cards 2 weeks ago if you need them.
Yeah, I mean, you should still buy like staples now, though. If you need Hierarchs, get them now. If you need Snapcasters, get them now. Yeah. Like, they're not going to continue crashing. There's no massive additional wave of UMA coming in, so that we know of.
Yeah,
I think the foil. Yeah, I think a lot of stuff's on its way up.
I was actually surprised. The bottom on Noble Hierarchs ended up being Friday at like 9 p.m. and then they started rebounding. Like that's less than 12 hours.
Waiting for yeah.
Yeah, it was less than 12 hours and they started.
Do we have another?
Yeah, so I've got a question. It's more of a request for. This is from Euroflowray on Reddit. Have any of you guys had an experience selling or trading cards overseas in person, GP, or doing a shop crawl? How did it go? What was good, bad, different? Bonus, not so serious question. We hear a lot about which beers and ciders you guys like to drink, but which proper liquors do you guys like to drink? Jason, do you want the alcohol question first?
I tried to get into Scotch, and it just tastes. It's just so garbagey to me. I don't think anyone likes Scotch. I think it's just like you don't want your dad to think you're gay, so you pretend to like Scotch. I'm convinced it tastes like peat moss and farts, and it burns, and everyone's like, "Oh, Scotch. What is this? Oh, is this like 21 years old?" Oh yeah. Oh, it's good. Oh, I love it. Yeah. So I drink real basic. Like I drink liquor like a 20-year-old girl. Like I like Di Serono. I will drink a bottle of Di Serono in a night. It's like, was that $48? Yeah. I like Romana Sambuca. Dwight Fry from the Discord got me hooked on Romana Sambuca when I was like 20. And I drink that a lot now. I drink like pineapple flavored rum and shit. Like I'm not a snob. I'm a wine and beer snob, but for liquor, I don't just get it in me. If I'm drinking liquor, it's because I want something to happen and I want it to taste good. So I just I don't give a shit. If it comes with an umbrella in it, I will drink it. My dad's already disappointed. I don't there's nothing I can drink that burns and he'll be like, I'm proud of my son. So he's not like into that anyway. I'll drink something that tastes like chocolate cake. I don't give a shit. So I'm not snobby at all when it comes to liquor. So I'm sure that's a disappointing answer, but I don't have enough room in my brain to give a shit about all of that plus beer and wine.
I just don't really drink.
That's fine.
Jason, if you get the chance to get one on glass though, you should drink a glass of Glenlivet 15-year natural cast or the French oak. Both of those are A+, like very smooth scotches.
I mean, I'll drink. I can tell the difference between good scotch and shitty scotch. Mm-hmm. I like 21-year-old Macallan. That's like the scotch I'll drink.
If you don't
as for their actual question, have any of you traded or sold cards internationally? Yeah, I actually went to Amsterdam this year in end of March, early April, just because a friend of mine was
legal.
Well, a friend of mine was playing in the main event, and he was originally planning on going with his team, and then his team dropped out, and so he needed to fill a spot on the plane ticket and recoup some of his money. So I got a very, very cheap week-long trip to Amsterdam this spring, and I stopped by the GP on Friday and Saturday. I just spent all day buying and mostly just buying. I didn't really bring any cards to sell because I didn't really know what to sell. Since then, I've learned a lot about which cards are better in the European market, which cards are better in the Japanese market. As a general rule, a lot of casual and Commander stuff is a lot cheaper over in Europe just because Commander is not as much of a ground roots movement as it is in the United States. Old school cards are significantly more expensive in Europe. A lot of modern cards like Collective Brutality, Eidolon of Great Revel, Lily Last Hope, Nahiri, interestingly enough, Ancestral Vision. A lot of those are European cards that do really well on MKM. Same kind of goes true for Japan. There's a lot of weird
You can get Commander
cards.
stuff really cheap in Japan, especially right when it first comes out and they don't know. Like once the American and MKM prices kind of kick in, Japan's sort of like, oh, okay, we realize we can charge a premium. But when Commander stuff's new over there, they have no idea. So if you're like Phil from Commander and was over there and he was like sending me like Facebook messages a lot, like, should I get this? And he was like, should I get $2 Blade of Cells? I was like, yeah. So like right when the stuff is new in Japan, they don't really know what to do on the prices. They're like garbage. So like, buy all their garbage. And once the prices are established, they're like, oh, we can charge a premium. But that's only on like foil stuff because like nobody wants Japanese Commander stuff except me. Because that means I just take an English copy out of my deck and sell it.
If you're looking for playable Commander cards and you just want to play the cheapest copy and you or your play group does not care that they're non-English, definitely look at Haruria because they'll have like Japanese parallel lives at $8 or $9, something like that, compared to 13 US. Stuff like Cyclonic Rift. The staples have closed the gap a little bit, but a lot of the more obscure stuff, if it has the more words on a card, the cheaper the price will be in Japanese compared to American. So Planeswalkers are Japanese swords like $8 or $9 compared to 13 US, just stuff like that.
And stuff lags too. Like Wound Reflection spikes, and everyone's like, Wound Reflection, I can't find any cheap copies online. And then the Japanese price moves 3 months later.
Yeah. So I bought a lot of cards when I was in Europe. A lot of that was because I went to Europe right when the Masterpiece spike happened, and I managed to buy a lot of Masterpieces at EU prices that were not updated to US prices yet, and same with a lot of reserve list cards. But I didn't really sell because I didn't know what to sell, and now I do. Yeah. So trips international can be very, very good to you if you know what you're doing.
And like people are saying in the chat, it's harder to sell that stuff, so it's easier to get it for cheap. But
yes, that's why I said if you want to play it. Like if you're trying to flip Swords and Parallel Lives, do not buy the Japanese ones because they take forever to move on TCG Player. They'll move eventually, but you have to take a lot of a hit of a percentage more than you might think, and
just hold them for too long. What I like to do is put the Japanese copy in my deck and the English copy that was in my deck, I sell that. So if I can free up a copy, basically make money by selling for the difference in between the two prices, I'll absolutely do that.
Yep. Next question from R2D551. How bad of is it an idea to trade 7 duels, not Volcanic Island, Underground Sea, and Badlands, so keeping the Grixis ones, for an HP Tabernacle to play in EDH? It's fine. If you're playing with it, it's fine. Like that's the thing, right? If the duels are sitting in your binder and the Tabernacle is like, man, I could really use this in my deck, sure.
I would rather have a bunch of duels whose prices can move up. You get there's more of a, if all the duels go up 20%, I feel like you could make more money selling those duels individually than having the one card.
Right, but that's not what the question was. I agree.
No, I know.
Like, if this is like which of these do I buy to make more money in 6 months? It's the dual lands.
The duels have more upside, but like it's if it's fair now, whatever. You're that dick playing Tabernacle and EDH, and you'll draw it 1 in every 11 games. So good luck.
Yeah. This is actually a really good question, chat.
That sounded kind of hostile to the guy who sent us. Thank you for sending us a question. Jesus, I need to calm down.
Do any of you still sell a TCG Player? And if so, how do you get repeat buyers that will be references later on? So I sell a lot on TCG Player. I get like a decent percentage of my total income as a Magic in general is from TCG Player. One of my favorite strategies to get repeat buyers is I include a business card in every team bag and every top loader order. So the way I package my orders, you can see I pre-prepare a lot of these. I call them rigs. It's just a top loader inside of a team bag. And then I will ship a penny sleeved card, just slide it in there. I don't really put the card inside of the top loader unless it's like
it doesn't need to be if it's in the team bag because it's
any damage that would happen to this card like this that actually would damage it is going to damage it anyway if it's inside the top loader. Putting the card inside the top loader is more of just like a customer service aesthetics thing to make it look like it's going to be safer. Because if this card gets like smashed by a truck or something like that, it's gonna be destroyed either way. Just putting it at the top loader makes it look safer. But I like to put business cards inside these because it just requires so little additional effort. It gives them my contact info if they want to repeat buy from me, purchase from me on TCG Player outside of the program. Be like, hey, I see you have a foil Cryptic Command up there. It's this much. Can I buy it for this much without the fees? Absolutely. So my email address is on there. And I've actually had a couple orders where I sold to somebody locally through TCG. So they live in Syracuse, and I sold to them on TCG Player. And then they emailed me and they said, hey, I see you sold on TCG Player. It got here super fast. And that's awesome. I was wondering if I can meet up and trade you some stuff to go towards my Commander deck. So that was really cool.
Yep.
So yeah,
Go to Vistaprint. Vistaprint, you can get a bunch of cheap business cards, and you can also get this thing, which is a stamp that has my address on it.
Yep. Where's mine?
And you stamp the upper left corner of the envelope with the return address. Yep. And I also get a second one. It was 2 for 1. I got one in red ink that says "Do not bend" or "Do not machine." So you pay if you have more than like 1 or 2 cards in the buddy bag, and it's a little thicker. You don't want them to machine it because sometimes the rollers will catch the card. So what you'll do is you'll put an extra 20-cent stamp on there and just say "Do not bend" or "Do not machine."
Oh, I never did that.
Hopefully they won't machine. Well, that I've had good luck with that, because one time I had an eBay order where I put like 8 cards in there, and then it showed up postage due because they were like, "Oh, we got to hand sort that; it's too thick." And the guy's like, "What the fuck? I'm gonna pay 30," and he gave me a bad review on eBay, even though I refunded him his 30 cents because he was mad about the inconvenience. So
TCG will always clean your bad feedback as long as you just help out a little bit, as long as you offer to compensate people. So my rule of thumb is I will fit up to 10 cards in one of these little things before I go for the 2 stamp system. And then if somebody orders more than 10 cards from me, you can ship up to 30 cards in one of these longer envelopes right here, because you can use 2 of these rigs and then put them side by side like this, and then use tape to hold the paper order template thing. So you can fit 2 cards inside the top loader, 12 cards inside the actual, so it's like 28 or 29, but 12 cards in a penny sleeve inside the rig. So that's 14 cards per rig, and then you just tape it down to this thing, and that's 90, or I guess $1 stamp, $1 worth of stamps. So I'll ship that plain white envelopes. So I'll get orders for like 20 rat colonies plus like what's the card, a swarm yard or whatever, plus a doom blade plus whatever, and I'll just ship it plain white envelope with this, and it only costs me $1 shipping. So there's a lot of.
I do the small plain white envelopes, the ones this size. It's barely bigger than.
No, that's what I use for most of my orders. Like this is the size envelope I use for most of my, like almost every order I send.
Yep. So Vistaprint's your friend. You get the business card and you can get these address stamps.
Yes. Also, pay if you know a graphic designer. Just pay somebody like $50 or $100 or something like that to get you a really nice logo and a really nice just like business card aesthetic. Just because like I've used this same logo and pattern and all this stuff on my Facebook and my Twitter, everything for several years now, and it's just I love it. Like the card garden with the lotus aesthetic looks really nice. And I paid a friend of mine who I know in college to do it. Just looks gorgeous. Looks way more professional than like the generic business cards they give you. So like if you actually want to put a decent amount of effort and time into this sort of like doing it as a side hustle, I think my top 3 investments over the course of doing this lifetime are like my buy mat and using the design and everything that I paid for, my business cards, and then like that actual graphic design work. Those are my top 3 like return on investment things that have just helped me make so much more money in this business.
Because you
for
like
such a little amount. Like it's like $300 total for just like a massive lifetime supply of business cards, a buy mat, and a really, really nice graphic designer. So it's very, very little investment in terms of like the amount of rewards you reap from it.
Yeah, if you're way underpaying someone to do design work for you.
Yeah, and I mean like sites like Fiverr make that a lot easier. Like the amount of designers that just will work, like you have people that are overseas and stuff that will, do a design job for you for dirt cheap, and they do quality work.
Yeah. So next question from Code Doodle. Do you guys have any advice on negotiating tactics for buying and selling at GPs, how to prepare, certain things to say, ways of bargaining, etc.? And Jason, can you recommend a beer or cider in or around Minneapolis?
I don't even know what's around Minneapolis. Like all the stuff I know in like the Chicagoland area, like got bought up. I was like, oh, Goose Island's a nice. No, Minneapolis. Nah. Wisconsin. Where's Three Floyds? That's near Minneapolis, right? I think it is. Yeah. You talk. I'll research.
All right. So for buying and selling at GPs, every vendor is going to be different. The vendor that I work for, primarily 95 MTG, we do not negotiate. We will give you the best number up front that we can, and the best number buying, and that is our number. I'd rather just give you actual good numbers on the cards I want. I'd rather just put my cards in the case at the cheapest price that we can, and there's no haggling. And if you haggle, I'll get a little frustrated. Other vendors are different. Targeting cards that are slow moving is a much better way to get a deal. So if you're out hunting for EDH foils, if you're looking for weird non-English stuff that doesn't look like it's going to move, like those Japanese parallelize maybe or something like that, you're much more likely to get a discount. Sunday is a better deal day to negotiate because Sunday is statistically when vendors will be more likely to be run out of cash just because they've been buying all weekend. So if you have cash dollars in hand, it's a stronger bargaining tool than PayPal. What else? I mean, there's no like certain things to say or Jedi mind trick. I mean, just like generally just asking if you can take $1 or $2 off or like a tiny percentage off. If it's a large purchase, is it okay? Don't ask for discounts on stuff like Search for Azcanta or Fetches or just like cards that you know are going to move. It's got to be the more obscure stuff, the more foily stuff or HP stuff or just cards that vendors are not going to be able to sell or think they might not be able to sell by the end of the weekend. Yeah, that's all I got, Jason. Any?
I just looked it up, and apparently Indeed Brewing Company is in Minneapolis, and I had a very good Indeed beer called the Rum King, or just Rum King. I thought that was really good. It's American stout, and I thought it was fantastic. It's like a vanilla sort of a stout. I don't know. I like my stouts to sort of be like chocolatey or vanilla or something like that. I like something going on. You know, my stouts and porters. I don't like just like, oh, it's really bitter. I like sort of a sweet flavor to it. So Indeed Rum King, I think, is the only Minneapolis area beer I've had, but I actually thought it was pretty good. I give it like an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. I thought that was pretty good. So it turns out I did accidentally know one.
Nice. Follow-up flash sale or flash round on some of these questions in the chat. Margins are better on selling singles than booster boxes, but I have no experience and no reviews selling Magic cards on any online platform. Should I build an account selling sealed at first, then get reviews and start selling singles? No, just sell singles.
Just sell singles. Just sell staples, even if you like make $2.
Yeah, just burn through that TCG player level system relatively quickly. It's not hard. People are not afraid to buy from new sellers. Like selling a sealed product is just awful shipping wise, logistics wise, and probably margin wise, unless you're getting some absurd deal. Like even vendor costs on booster boxes is like $60 to $70. Then you're selling them a TCG for like $85. Then after shipping and after they're cut, you're just ruined. So just sell singles.
You gotta do so much volume. Like it's like Mass Drop is like making money on booster boxes barely these days.
Next up, is it still better to buy non-event format cards during GPs on Sunday? Not really. I mean, EDH and played stuff and non-English stuff is still just king. Like, if it's a modern GP, like, they'll still be able to sell their standard cards when they get home or online or, like, it's you have to target the low-velocity stuff. Like, the format of the event doesn't really matter.
I don't buy case stuff unless I need it at a GP. GPs are where I sell or I dig through a dollar box. You'll find stuff in dollar boxes, but like finding deals in a case somewhere other than 95, just being like, hey, we're the cheapest because that's our business model. You're not really going to get deals per se unless somebody made a mistake. For the most part, if I'm doing any buying, it's because a card is like $1 below what somebody's hot list price is.
Yeah. Which
happens. You can arbitrage on the floor sometimes, but for the most part, people are paying attention. So I'll dig through binders. I'll try to make deals on foreign stuff that I know is not moving for them, or I'll dig through dollar boxes, and because they seed those dollar boxes with good cards just to make people dig through them and whatever. But I'm not really buying stuff out of cases. It's not really a thing. GPs are better for selling than buying.
Yes. Any advice on finding collections to buy for somebody without order connections? Just grind it on like Craigslist. That's the best advice I have.
I have all the apps. I have Craigslist. I have Let Go. I have all that crap on my phone, and
like Facebook Marketplace is like okay. Yeah. It's
I would make an ad on Facebook Marketplace. Honestly, just say, "Hey, I'm buying," or like my neighborhood has a Facebook group, and I said I'm buying collections, and someone hit me up. So like, garage sales are good too.
Yeah,
I found a lot of collections at garage sales.
just put in the work hours until you're known in the community. I mean, if you eventually start buying a decent amount to the point where you have enough stock to have what people need, that's when you start getting people to message you about things like, hey, would you trade this, and this for this stuff? And then once you have like an inventory system, people will be more willing to like accept the fact that you are doing this as a hustle instead of just like trying to get free money.
Another thing, when you get your business cards printed up, go to every pawn shop in the farthest you're willing to drive, basically, and say, hey, I buy Magic the Gathering cards. If you get a Magic the Gathering collection in, would you give me a call? I'd be interested in buying it. I've had pawn shops call me and sell me Magic cards.
Yeah, one of our local players is a retired judge who manages a pawn shop, and so it's a good little relationship where anytime he gets like a collection, he just ships it to me.
Just give him your business card. It should say on their Magic the Gathering buyer. They'll have it by their cash register.
Yep.
And they'll just remember, that guy comes in and buys collections, and I get crap from pawn shops 2 or 3 times a year, and it was worth it passing out 9 business cards.
What about selling sealed Commander 2011 products? Those are like absurdly valuable, right? Just try to move them on like a sealed collectors group or Facebook Marketplace.
The Facebook high end, yeah.
I guess you could throw them on eBay or TCG and pray, but
I busted so many of those stupid counter punches. Ugh.
Yeah, same here. That was back when I like actually wanted to play the deck, but whew.
I didn't even keep the Gave or anything. I didn't keep any of the other stuff.
You could
Acorn Catapult. I just like bulked out the rest of it. Ugh.
You could like theoretically buy list them if you find some store with a weird buy list algorithm that's paying a lot. But good luck. Like they're really valuable, but they're just hard to find that one person who wants them.
Oh, and the one that nobody wanted is like the most absurd one. Now it's got like Animar and Riku and all this crap. And everyone's like, oh, that one's trash. Mirror Master.
The one nobody wanted was the Jeskai one. Because that one just was like
a had a Flusterstorm in it.
But that was the one nobody wanted to like play with.
Oh yeah,
well, like it was the one where everybody.
It was Ruhan and Zedru and what was the other one?
The dragon.
Oh, Dumont, yeah.
So that was the one where it was like it's got this one legacy card, whatever. But the Rug one and the Abzan one were the two that people like actually wanted to play with because they were super cool commanders.
Yeah, Riku's awesome.
What about sealed FTV product like Realms?
Nim the paint artist is just red blue, dude. Sorry we're trying to move on.
No, you're good. Sealed FTV product like Realms, same boat. Ship it on a sealed high-end group or TCG. You're just like, it's hard to move. Those ones you can sometimes hold sealed because the cards inside them will jump, and then you can sell the product for more than it's worth by cracking it. Like when Jace gets unbanned, everybody's like, "Oh boy!" and they crack their FTV.
But like you're just as likely to get hit with an anthology,
like a meta change or an anthology, or
a meta change or an anthology. Those are both two. So like you're just as likely for all the cards to jump as for none of the cards to jump because they just and then the only point of having it sealed is for collectability. People that just want the thing because all the cards that deck was reprinted in its entirety in an anthology.
I mean, Realms was like the one golden goose where it just like kept going up because other cards in it went up.
Yeah.
So it was like, Grove of the Brimwillows is $1 billion now. Ancient Tomb's $1 billion now. I think Talaria West is $1 billion. Like it just kept having cards in it that would go up. Dryad Arbor got bought out, so like
no. And when they printed Solemnity, even the Glacial Chasm or whatever,
Dark Depths.
No, the chasm that you pay 2 life to not. Even that went up when they printed Solemnity. So
yeah, Realms was the one that just like kept going up, which I mean makes sense because it's lands.
Well, the Legends one I thought would because people stopped using what's his name in Natural Order decks, but like Sisay bumped because of the Legend rule change in EDH that never ended up mattering.
Well, Legends and Dragons were the two of the first ones, and so those are like just
Legends was way after.
Was it?
Yeah, Legends was super recent. I thought like 2012, 2013 or something like that.
It was Dragons, then it was I think Exiled, then Artifacts, then I thought it was Legends after that, but I could be wrong.
I think you're wrong. Who knows? Maybe I'm thinking Legends was more recent than it was. Who knows, man? That we have the internet. We're not using it.
I am already looking it up. It was Dragons. Okay, yeah, it was Dragons, Exiled, Relics, then Legends. But we're both right. So Legends was forever ago, but forever ago was 2011. So
it was 2011. Jeez, I am old.
Yeah. So and then it was Realms, and then 20 Annihilation, Angels, Lore, and Transform.
I guess I was still playing tournaments when like Legends was a prize. Shit. Progenitus, that's the card I couldn't think of.
Are the print numbers on Judges Foils known?
No.
Okay.
Any person who is claiming to have concrete information about print runs for anything past like the dark is lying or
pulling it out of his top hat.
So print numbers for Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, everything up to the dark, I believe, is concretely known and proven or in some database somewhere. But I mean, Judge Soul Ring is it's just not as popular. Like a lot of people want to masterpiece out their collection just because like there's a lot you can masterpiece out an EDH deck. There's like 15 different versions. So I mean, there's like 15 different cards you can put in an EDH deck that are masterpieces. So it's like, oh, I need a masterpiece Soul Ring because I can also masterpiece my Sculpting Steel, Crucible of Worlds, Gilded, like not Gilded Lotus, but what was I
Hey
thinking?
Dana, you gotta fight this guy in the chat. He says the invention's better than the judge ones, and he says fight him. So
we can set
you're
that
gonna
up.
get beat up by Dana.
Patreon perk.
What? Fight Dana Roach? That's he's taller than you'd expect.
Jeez, Dana, savage.
He's got a
DJ
girl's
Soul Ring
name.
is
You
the
think he
best.
would
Yeah,
be able to fight? Oh wow!
My Soul Ring's the best. Where's
Don't come
my-
back, DJ.
Just walks away from the mic. This is
Nice
good
chair.
TV.
Jesus, look at that chair. We need to buy us all new chairs.
It's got a bunch of cat scratch marks on the back of it too. Like I said, this is the wife's chair. I'm commandeering it temporarily.
So are you making her sit on the floor in the other room?
You can't even spell superior, Dwight.
I don't know where she is.
Dwight, have you been there this whole time? It's your fault I drink Sambuca. I just wanted to point that out.
No, Dinny Gwen 33 is correct. My Soul Ring is the best.
Why are you making us wait for the?
I got you.
You did it. The judge foil had the beta border. It would be 100. Yeah, well, you're still gonna get beat up by Dana, dude. Sorry. You're gonna get beat up by a 42-year-old guy wearing cargo shorts and with his cell phone clipped to his belt, because that's Dana Roach in real life.
Can anyone else hear this? Can you guys hear this?
Oh, that's the sound of catharsis.
My Alpha Basics are actually getting signed by Dan Frazier right now. They're on their way back from SCG Cons, so I'm using Beta Basics right now, unfortunately.
Oh, while we're talking about cards we got, can I make a plug to this really good transaction that I had recently? No. But
Go
like, so on TCG Player,
This is for cast members only. Come on.
on Sunday night, I ordered this many cards for my new commander deck. It's like
who bought
90
those?
cards or so. Yeah, so I ordered on Sunday night, and they arrived to me on Tuesday afternoon. And they were shipped really well. Got them from Card Garden on
Fuck off!
Twitter.
Yeah, I ordered this many cards. That's how my 3-year-old counts too, Dinnigan. Good for you, man. I ordered this many. Oh, well, it was the pinnacle of customer service. I gave you money and you sent me the cards. Oh,
They were shipped well.
ugh.
Box topper.
You put this many cards in a buddy bag and just threw in a shitty envelope with a window.
I was actually more
JJ is the mod, or I would have, dude. If I had mod powers, JJ wouldn't be talking at all. You're here to organize the Reddit comments in a. You're even less than a host than DJ, if that's possible.
Unsleeved Alpha and Beta cards. DJ confirmed cheater. Yeah, man. I mean,
Do we have any more Reddit stuff before I get too drunk to answer questions? We got a lot of Reddit questions.
there's one more Reddit question.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled some Dem Tutor.
No, there are two different. There's the finance sub and the main sub.
Well, I'm only looking at the ones that are in the Google Docs. So
I might have had a. Okay, hold on. I'll find it. Go ahead.
Pulled some high value cards from UMA. Liliana and Liliana and Engineer Explosives box toppers in a pack foil Tarmogoyf. And you spelled Tarmogoyf with two A's. So
Tarmogoyf.
I would like to sell them to cover the cost of the boxes, $800. Am I being too optimistic? I am not in a hurry to sell. I don't think box topper Lily plus box topper EE plus pack full of Tarmogoyf equal 800 off the top of my head.
Not yet. I think they will someday. I think the box toppers go up.
I think some of them do. Not all of them.
It's actually pronounced Targomoyf. I think a lot of them go up.
The ones that don't have ulterior or alternative like fancy printings, I think, are more likely to go up. Like Tarmogoyf has possibility. Liliana already has like Pro Tour promo, but box topper's probably more premier than that. So Lily's probably going to go up. But I mean, there's also value in like recouping your money right now as opposed to like 6 months from now for a 10% increase.
Did you say recouping? It's recouping.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah, was it from a dude in a bayou with like missing teeth?
Like I used to say recouping, and then somebody called me out on it and said I was pronouncing it wrong, so I changed how I said it.
Oh, in French, we never pronounce the terminal P in French. Oh, it's recoup. Oh.
So I used to say recouping, and then I got called out by like
who? Person. By Gerard Depardieu? Dude, it's fucking recouping. It's
okay.
Oh, sweet God, it's recoup with a P. Thank you, Efren. It's the same in Spanish. This guy knows.
I feel better because I am vindicated for being originally right.
Yeah. So. Yeah, dude, in all caps. He's as heated as I am. Recouping. Oh, man, I'm not going to pronounce any more P's for the rest of this episode. DJ voted for Trump.
Here's another one for you. From
Oh,
Corbin said revised power, never forget.
Corbin did say revised power. And funny story. DJ wasn't here for that. I was. We had like a 20-minute conversation about whether we should cut that entirely out of the episode because do we lose all credibility as a podcast because Corbin said revised instead of unlimited?
And then he tried to gaslight you all and make sure it didn't happen.
Oh yeah, but like we went he was too deep. We went full revisionist history on it, and once you invent the ministry of like
ministry of truth
of history, yeah, exactly. Once you go full 1984, any reference to a thing that didn't happen because there's no evidence, like, has to be scrubbed too. So like, yeah, we went real deep with it, like. And then 5 years later, he went from not acknowledging it to be like, it's so stupid that we're still talking about this. I don't even know how did you even find out about that?
I don't remember. It might have been Ryan.
Well, it was probably on episode 200.
The best thing about Burgunding is Marcel never said, oh no, that was Ryan.
That's Ryan. Ryan
what was mine was Fecundrity. That was the one that I said, how would Marcel pronounce fecundity? Fecundrity. But no, Burgunding was a real thing. Jesus. Yeah, if you're going to say Burgunding, you don't get to call Corbin an idiot for saying revised power. Yeah, you do. That's so dumb. What a fucking
revised
idiot. Yeah,
power
absolutely.
Is way worse.
Yeah. They're both equally the worst.
He got like a counterfeit like sapphire to the shop one time probably, and he's like, oh, what's this? And the guy's like, it's revised, and Corbin's like, okay.
Oh, okay, I'm just trying to recoup some of my investment.
What about F&M spikes? What? Oh, F&M, the F&M grinder. That argument.
I'm convinced Ryan and I were both wrong on that, but whatever. Oh man, we're not even reading finance. We're just talking about shit that happened pre-episode 100 on this podcast.
Do you expect a similar spike on the box toppers of the Kaladesh masterpieces? I don't expect it, but I would not be surprised if it happened.
I think it'll happen because even some of the masterpieces that went up, like not those ugly ones from like
Oh my God.
the Egyptian, yeah, all that crap. But like a lot of the masterpieces went up a lot more than I thought. So
I mean, they cooled down though too. Greaves was at 100 for a while. Now it's like 65, 70. Chromatic Lantern was at like 90, and now it's like 70 something.
what about the scandal at a GP on Jason's first episode? That was GP Minneapolis. What was even the scandal there? So I have to go back and listen to episode like 9 of this podcast.
Andy's been listening. Andy's on episode 27 now. He's been listening to from 1 to.
Oh Jesus,
forward.
That was back when like, hey, you know who'd be a good guest? Jeff Saturn.
And he's making. I'm having him like keep note of funny like parts and noteworthy things. And apparently in episode 13, you did an absurdly good Christopher Walken impression.
Christopher Walken's such an easy impression, though.
I don't know, man. I'm just. I don't know. Maybe theft.
Was the scandal?
There was a GP Minneapolis like a year ago where somebody stole Alpha Duels out of a case.
Ooh.
That was the first event I ever worked as a buyer. And I worked at for Channel Fireball, and somebody stole Alpha Duels out from under a case because they had like the ones that were easy to open on the corner. They had like the flat lying cases, so somebody just like pulled it up a few inches while everybody's backs was turning and just like grabbed the duels, walked out, and then they tried to sell it to another dealer, and then people got really mad and upset. Yeah, that's the dude that literally grabbed them and just ran, and he got away. As far as I know, maybe he got caught later. I don't know, but like as the time I was on the event, he got away. Yeah, the dude literally just there was like a fucking like chase, like a Fast and Furious chase.
Once you'll never end physical cards. Get the fuck out of here, Les Claypool. That's correct, Dwight. I used to have a Christopher Walken message on my answering machine. Every time my mom would call me, she'd be like, "You need to change your voicemail message. What if someone wants to call you about a job?" I'm like, I dropped out of law school. No one's called me about a job, Mom. I did walk-in the year before it was Arnold's Pizza Shop. If you're like 50 years old, you remember Arnold's Pizza Shop from like E-Bombs World on like 2002. Welcome to Arnold Schwarzenegger's Pizza Shop. If you want pepperoni pizza with 9mm bullets on it. Oh, that whole thing. Oh, it was great. That was great. Our memes were better than your memes. Your memes are all, oh, Ariana Grande or whatever. And we're like, no, man, it's all about really easy to do impressions that you can do on morning radio and trick people. Hi, I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm the governor of California. Oh, I had no idea. I'm just a housewife. Oh, yeah, morning radio. That was the shit. I'm just saying our memes are better than your memes. Like YTMND, yes. I used to stream YTMND radio. Like, oh, whatever. Whatever. I was in the YTMND forums. Let's not get into that. That was back when, before Reddit became the only website anybody visited. Before social media, we had message boards before Facebook, and they were toxic. I think is the word. But yeah, YTMND was my shit.
Do you still think cheap reserve list is garbage investment? Yes.
All right, I got some more Reddit questions for you here.
Can we just talk about Baltimora instead of Reddit? What was my favorite commander that came out this year? I don't know. 2018's been so long. I'm like, what sets even came out this year? And I was like, oh shit, Black Panther came out this year. That's how long 2018 has been. Yes, I am protected, Robert Jorgensen. My favorite commander what was your guys' favorite commander that came out in 2018? What sets
to play with? If we're talking about like
probably Tatiova.
To play with, I think it's got to be Thantis, the War Weaver.
You like Thantis?
Yes, I think it's a lot of fun in terms of creating commander games that are enjoyable. It definitely creates game states where I think people have more fun instead of just like being very scared to attack or creating like bullshitty political alliances. I built the Thantis deck where it's like we're all going to kill each other right now. This game is not going to turn 12, and we're all going to kill each other with combat damage. So I give everyone tokens, Rite of the Raging Storm, pay Bitter Feud, just like everybody fucking kill each other, and it's fantastic.
Do you guys post the decks you play anywhere? Yeah, man. In my 5 years and still going series on coolstuffinc.com.
All of my decks are on tappedout.net.
We don't scrape Tapped Out.
What else should I
put
post them on?
Somewhere else.
Like where? I actually don't.
Goldfish? I don't know. Pretty soon, EDH Rec will have its own submission thing, and then there will be no need for a Tapped Out at all. I got to be careful. I'm 2 beers in, 9% beers in, so I'm 5 beers in, and I don't want to say anything that I shouldn't, but
No
EDH Rec doesn't scrape Tapped Out, and it might not have been EDH Rec's idea to not scrape Tapped Out, and maybe you might want to use a different service. Can I say all that? Yeah, okay.
That's fine.
EDH Rec will have its own. It'll have its own thing pretty soon, where you can do everything you can do on Tapped Out on EDH Rec, and then you'll contribute directly to the data in a tangible way, and we'll have user profiles and all kind of crap. It'll be great. But
I've been using Tapped Out.
That's hard to code. If that were easy to code, we would have done it already.
Yeah. I've been using Tapped Out for literally almost a decade because I know the guy that created it. I mean, I know him online. Like I was one of the first users of Tapped Out, so I was there when he was like just starting out the site.
Did he give you a college scholarship?
No. No, I already squandered one of those. And so yeah, like that was Tapped Out was where I learned to draft, because me and the creator of Tapped Out would just like go on and draft with 6 other bots when he was programming them and teaching them how to draft. So that was where I actually learned like how to draft bombs and removal and card evaluation, all that stuff when I was in middle school, high school. I was in high school.
High school. So what? High school? What was that 5 years ago?
No.
6 years ago? You're 24, so 6 years ago?
I graduated high school at 17.
I drafted UMA. I forced spider spawning. It went okay.
I have not drafted UMA. I played a sealed. I played a sealed match with a friend of mine, and I went black-green, like discardy shenanigans because I opened a Liliana. So I went like black-green madness with Wild Mongrels and Twins of Mauer Estate and Grave Scrabblers, and it went fine.
Cool. Yeah, spider spawning's really well supported because, I mean, the set symbol skulls, it was going to be Graveyard Masters, and they're like, let's not do a theme. Let's call it Ultimate Masters and shoehorn a bunch of random shit in there. So, yeah, it was supposed to be a graveyard set. That's why Graveyard's so well supported. And
that's also why it says, like, talks about the graveyard on the box.
Yeah, yep. Is the explosive version of the Patreon supporters, or would you get a radio edit? I've said fuck so few times on this that it's probably fine.
It's actually below the show average.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
X Hazy X asks on Reddit, you may have answered this in the past, but as a recent listener, how would you suggest getting started in the MTG finance world? Is it just a matter of buying specs or something else? Thanks.
Don't speculate.
Speculating is fun. Don't speculate to eat, speculate to get an erection, right? Like that's what you do. It's for fun. You know, it's for like, I nailed it. So the 90% of the money we make is from the unsexy buying a card for buy list, selling it for retail. So I would grind that TCG player, or I would get a good line of collections where you can make money selling it buy list and just grind the unsexy money. Speculating is fun, but like it's such a small percentage of what I do that it's 90% of what people want to hear about me doing, but it's 10% of what I do.
Like the only cards I will speculate on are cards that are just pet cards that I've loved for years, where I just think there's one more card that needs to be printed to make them good, like Necrotic Ooze. I've stockpiled Necrotic Oozes since probably Theros block or RTR block, just thinking this card needs one card to be maybe good in Modern. Maybe one EDH commander needs to get printed for this to see a lot more play and for people to get more views on the card. It happened to be Lazav, so the Necrotic Ooze goes to $6, and then DJ's very happy. Some other examples of cards like that I've talked about on the podcast recently and that I've used for my pick of the week are like Mir Superion, Heartless Summoning was a flash in the pan that I made a lot of money on. Restore Balance is one that I'm still waiting on. I will put a down payment on a house when Restore Balance spikes. What else?
Someone asked if Corbin vapes. Answer the vape question, Corbin.
I pinged him, so hopefully he'll see it. He's lurking around.
He's showering with a 2-year-old right now.
So Blenderhead 36 has a question for each of you. So we'll start with DJs. Is there any kind of market for MP and down foils?
No.
What MP and what about MP and down masterpieces?
No.
What about? Go ahead.
You suck it up and you list them on TCG and you pray. One option that I'm a fan of is that there is a damage group on Facebook. So there's like sealed collectors, there's like high-end collectors. There's also a collector for damaged cards. And if you're looking to unload a lot of your destroyed cards, if you have like, man, this Masterpiece Chromatic Lantern has a crease in it, that kind of sucks. Or this Masterpiece Sword of Body and Mind got like dipped in a blender or something. Like you can unload those cards on that group because people like me are degenerates who are happy to fill out EDH decks with them. So yeah, MP foils suck. They are probably one of the worst cards to try to sell in any sort of market. Like if you have, this is an HP foil Nylea, God of the Hunt. I've had one of those in my inventory for 4 years. It does not sell. It's just
foil cards are like the opposite of women. The damaged ones aren't the best.
Jason, here's your question. Care to make a guess of any NRA legend or
NRA legends like G. Gordon Liddy?
Ravnica Alliance legends that will make a splash in Commander. We basically write off Azorius for now, since we know it's the only legend. It's the only legend meant for the 99, if that. Particularly owning Guilds of Ravnica.
It's too. I read this question on Reddit. It's too early to answer this. I kind of think people might want to build around Lavinia. Actually, it's stupid, but I think people at least buy the cards to maybe do it. I don't think you want to build around Zagana per se, but like, man, they can't do 20 legendary creatures and have none of them make a good deck other than Nim Mizzet. There's just no way. There's no way they're that bad at their jobs that they have 20 legendary creatures and they all suck for EDH.
Did you guys see that one clip of Pat Sullivan and Cedric a week or so ago when somebody asked in the SCG chat about GRN? It was fantastic because, like, JJ, you might be able to clip this in later, but it was just fantastic because Pat Sullivan got a question on the SCG chat where somebody said, "What do you think GRN will do to affect Modern?"
Yeah, and he's like, "We don't made the card." Yeah,
we don't know the cards, so it's a hard question. I just picture that for like that question that person asked you, like, how does GRN affect EDH?
Well, it's not a bad question because he's asking me to speculate about whether they'll make a good legend, and I'm like, nah, there's no way they won't make a good legend. And then we've seen like
0 for 2,
14 of the 20. I was like, oh no.
Well, it's not 20 though, right? Because like 6 of those are Planeswalker slots or so.
I guess that's true.
Like Vraska,
Ral, Zarek,
Domri, Kaya, and
wow, they can do that many Planeswalkers.
Azorius. Well, there's 3. There's 3 in this set. It's Domri.
There was 1 in the last.
No, it was last set was Vraska, Ral, and
yeah, you're right. Shit,
it was just those 2.
Yes. Vraska and Ral. Yeah, so 5.
It's yeah.
So 5 of the 20. Oh wow. So yeah, we've seen quite a few. Why can't you just give us one that's good in EDH? How hard is your job?
I have like a theory that because Play Design got their hands deeper on this set, they requested access to use more of the legendary slots to tinker for standard, maybe? Because like a lot of the legends in this set, this past 2 sets have been more standard focused or more modern focused or something to that nature. So that's like a theory. I don't know if it's got any validity, but
Where's MTG Ryan where you need him? Probably still echoing from last week. 6 years he's on a fucking podcast and he can't. Hey Ryan, how'd you like to be a guest? Yes.
Do you think they'll make Planeswalkers legal as commanders? No. Sheldon's talked about this more than the proxy guys talked about not selling proxies. Yeah, but aren't they still trying to make Brawl happen? I mean,
yes,
kind of, yes, but they're
going to do more to make Brawl. Like they're like, here's Brawl. We have some stuff coming in 2 years, and we have no support for it now. Go Brawl, go! And everyone's like, yeah, we don't like this. And they're like, oh, well, wait 2 years, it's coming. You guys listen to this podcast. You heard what Gavin said. They're going to do. I don't hate Brawl. I hated Tiny Leaders. Brawl could sell Magic cards. Can you imagine selling standard cards to the EDH crowd? Brawl could make me 20% more money if it's good. I want Brawl to be. The
hardest part about making money off Brawl is that all the cards that would jump because of Brawl and would be popular in Brawl aren't going to jump because the demand won't. It'll be like there, but it won't be enough. Like you see standard 4 of rares be $2, even though they're standard 4 of rares. So that means like a Brawl great rare will still be like 50 cents or $1, so it's very hard to make money off of it. It'll still, the liquidity will be there, so like you'll be able to list those cards and they will move, but there will not be like opportunities to buy them at retail and then sell them at a higher retail. This is the hard part. It's like, oh, cool, I have these cards and now I can sell them, or I can trade them, or I will have a market.
Like us that are in the position to buy list locally and sell at retail will be. This is good for us, but for speculators, which is like what, probably 60-70% of the MTG finance community, it doesn't do shit for them.
Yeah, people will be like, oh, I want to buy a Journey to Eternity-esque card. I know that's a standard card, but it's also like an EDH card. People will be like, I want to buy that at $1, and then it's like in the most popular Brawl deck, and it's still $1.50, and people are like, why? So, we miss anything in the chat?
Nah.
No.
Cool.
All right, here's another one for you. Intraocular asks on Reddit, I love the podcast, that the podcast is free from corporate sponsorship. Do you feel that Wizards paying / sponsoring Magic celebrities is good for the game, or will it try to suppress criticism from key game personalities?
You can't give everybody $75,000 a year to not talk shit. That was just him trying to be a credible esport. No one's gonna give Jeff Hoogland that money, so he's still gonna bitch, right?
Yeah. Also, like being promoted by the game doesn't necessarily mean that they can't talk bad about it. And we can use Brian Kibler as an example of this. Like that's somebody who's like Hall of Fame Magic for over a decade, like one of the most well-known Magic players in the world, and he just shit talked Magic to the point where he quit. And he was getting paid plane tickets to GPs. He was getting all these support. I mean, not a lot of support, but
he was a gold level pro.
Yeah, he was
and a Hall of Famer. Yeah.
And so he the game just didn't become worth it for him. He found his model in the Hearthstone community. And so, I mean, no. Promoting streamers is amazing for this game. It is great. It is all EV positive. It's wonderful. It's not like hush money. They're not going to. If they have complaints, they can voice them internally too. It gives them another channel to, like, it gives them a direct line to be, hey, this isn't working. This arena thing needs to be changed. It gives them a community of tight-knit people who are.
I don't think they're trying to be immune to criticism. I think they're trying to address concerns.
JJ,
all right. What's the DXO Iron Man DXY asks?
That's a cool username. That guy smokes behind a middle school.
Do you think the prices of cards reprinted in UMA are going to follow the path of Modern Masters 3 that Modern Masters 3 followed? Yes, the cards were cheap briefly and then went up.
Your chance to buy Hierarchs was like 2 weeks ago. You will forever be able to find cheap garbage like Through the Breaches and Gorios and God, what's another garbage casual card they got reprinted in that set?
Yep. Anyway, you don't even know what's in. I don't know either.
I'm trying to think of like
But yeah,
Dig through times
all
forever
the important
dead.
stuff is on its way back up already. Like,
Oh yeah, like Phyrexian Tower is going to be cheap for a long while.
Phyrexian, everything Phyrexian.
Glenalandra Archmage is never going to hit $10 again. Like, stuff like that.
Balefire
Dragon.
What, the second reprinting on Glenalandra Archmage in Masters?
Eventide in MM1, yeah.
No, it was in Modern Masters 1, right?
Yeah, it was Eventide in MM1, yes.
Yeah. So that's...
Daybreak Coronet is forever dead. Vexing Devil is forever dead. Like, those are cards that are just like, you have 3 years to pick them up. Whereas the stuff you're not going to want to wait on is like Tarmogoyf, Karn, Cavern,
Lily.
The stuff that people have been like, I have 56 cards for my modern deck. I am hitting the button as soon as that card is available to purchase. Like, those are the cards you can't wait on.
Yeah. So like, that's Hierarch, Snapcaster, Lily, maybe a Better Blossom.
Karn,
yeah.
Karn
Goyf, yeah.
Demonic Tutor's one that, like, the multitude of people buying it at 1 of is enough to constitute it as like one of those 4 of cards.
Well, if you look at, like, there are degrees, they're like, magnitudes of EDH demand, where like there are some cards that are considered EDH staples, where if you look at their EDH reg data, there are other cards that are considered staples that are in 10 times as many decks. So you're talking, there's a difference of an order of magnitude in between things considered staples. So like,
yes.
Even stuff that goes away as a 1 of, if it's played 10 times as many decks as something else that's a 1 of, that's 2.5 times as many as a card that's a 4 of. So think about that.
I think there's a very select few EDH cards in this set that recover as well as like Snapcaster. Demonic Tutor, Phyrexian Ulcer, and I think Ancient Tomb are the 3 that have the highest chance of recovery as EDH cards. I get Ancient Tomb's a legacy card, but I think it becomes more of an EDH card as more people see the card. I think there's a lot of people who didn't play Ancient Tomb before just because they didn't know it existed, and now they play Ancient Tomb. Because it's $20.
So I call this concept discovered demand, which is a thing I made up.
Yes.
But like, there are people that couldn't afford it, and now they can, and so all of a sudden, like, they just were never going to buy a $75 copy, but they can buy a $25 copy. So, like, people that were priced out aren't priced out anymore, and all of a sudden, it's 75 again.
Yep.
Here's one from Mooncake 623, and a few other people have asked this before, but real quick, discuss the worst spec you ever lost actual money on.
Lightning Angel and what's the other thing? The 1-mana 1/1 that's blue red hybrid that whenever you exile spell in the stack.
Elemental.
Yeah, and that was the lesson I learned from that. Was I was watching coverage and trying to like buy stuff that was doing well on camera on day 1 and crap like that. And I was just like, man, if the card goes up, they'll cancel my order. And if it doesn't go up, then I'm left with a bunch of worthless cards. And that's when I chilled out and decided that I would want to go way in advance. So the lesson I learned from getting burned on stuff that did well on camera day 1, because the guy had 2 buys or 3 buys and then wins a round, is like, oh, he's 4-0. He's got a feature match. I'm like, oh shit, this guy's 4-0. When in reality, he won 1 match,
Mm-hmm.
I learned that I don't like to buy like that. I don't like to feel that constrained. I like to like have months. So that's when I shifted into EDH. So the lesson I learned from that was stay away from standard, stay away from modern, stay away from legacy, stay away from watching coverage and like hitting the buy button. Because like the only way those orders are getting shipped is if it's crap. If it's good, they'll be like, oh, we're out of stock, and then they relist it at a higher price. So I learned my lesson from watching crap like that. Was like, what, 7 years ago? I learned my lesson 7 years ago, and I've been shifting into more stable formats like EDH, where you have months to make your moves and everything is data-based. You have a ton of EDH rec data before the prices move. I learned to just leave that kind of crap to other people. Enjoy that.
Probably one of the worst specs I've made that's more infamous in my little area is Dust Mantle Seer. I traded for a lot of those right around end of RTR Gatecrash area because there was a deck that played Thragtusk there was a lot of decks that played Thragtusk, right? It was just big Thragtusky Restoration Angel meta. And so I found a Grixis tempo deck that would just destroy people playing Thragtusk and Angel Serenity.
Oh, was that your your Duskmantle Seer deck?
Yeah. Duskmantle Seer was fantastic. I was like 4-0ing every local event. Just like I top 8'd a 1K and like drew into the top 8, just like completely obliterating people with this Grixis brew. And so I was trading for every Duskmantle Seer I could find at like $3 or $4 a piece. I'm like, this card's insane. 4 of Mythic. The second it goes, like somebody else discovers this, it's gonna go wide. The biggest mistake I made was never like spreading the deck list into the Aether for other people to try to take advantage of it and see if it worked. I never took it to any larger event like an SCG Open myself to try to take advantage of it. So maybe the deck was insane, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I didn't get enough like high level testing to make a decision on that. But I was left with a lot of like 30 or 40 copies of Duskmantle Seer that just did not go higher than $3 or $4, and in fact went very low. And it got reprinted in what was it, like Battle Bond or Conspiracy 2 or something like that. I think it was Conspiracy 2. Mm-hmm. So that card's a meme to me at this point. But that was my lesson of, regardless of how powerful your brew is or how powerful you conceive your brew to be, you need to get either other people playing it or you need to break through the barricade in the Vanguard and then beat a bunch of people with it on camera and make people play it and make people see how good it is. So I don't think I ever lost some actual dollars in that card because all the ones I got were from trade back in the day. One of the worst specs I made was the what is the stupid card's name from Journey to Nyx? It's like the heroic guy, but he costs less to target for every spell you every
Hero
target.
of Aroas?
No, it's blue. It's like a 2-mana 2/2 or something like that, and Journey to Nyx.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's like it costs less to target for each target the spell has or something like that.
Yeah, it's something
Battlefield
mage.
something. Battlefield something.
Thaumaturge.
Sure, yes. That's what I bought like 50 or 60 of those. Maybe it was even 100 or so. I bought a lot of them. My initial cost was not high. I think I paid like 30 or 40 cents a card, but those obviously never did anything. I don't think I've ever lost like big money on a card because my strategy has never just been like hard speculating on cards that could fail. Like I've spent a lot of money on Spawnsire of Ulamog, but I was very, very confident in that one. Just because it was like I bought them all right when Battle for Zendikar was announced, and then I easily made money. Heartless Summoning was one that took a while to pay off on, but I sold a bunch of those.
Yeah, you don't have any failures. You should have longer term specs, man.
Yeah, the Thaumaturge and the Duskmantle Seer are probably my two worst that come to mind. I've probably had worse, but nothing that I've ever like poured a bunch of money into and then sat with my weeping little walkwares.
I'll answer for Corbin. It's Splinter Fright.
Yeah, that's his meme.
That's his long-term meme one. Anytime we have an opportunity to buy one and like hide it in his office, I will.
What are you specking on for the banned and restricted list? I like Splinter Twin, but I don't want to spend money on it because I know it's probably not going to happen. But I think if something does happen, I think Splinter Twin could theoretically get in banned one day. So like some part of me just wants to own 30 Splinter Twins just in case, but I also look at that money that I could be spending and then just don't spend it because I can better spend it elsewhere. So I don't know. If you want to play Splinter Twin, I think
having money tied up and like, oh, this is a could be spec. Like, I would so much rather buy a card for $4 and I can sell for $6.50. I would so much rather just flip it and rip it.
Like, I like Splinter Twin for the buy your set in case kind of situation. Where if you're a modern player, you don't want to get screwed out by paying $20 a piece on Splinter Twins, so just like spend $20 on the playset now and just hang on to them just in case. Very low risk. I mean,
if you think you want to play it when it's unbanned, yeah, you definitely buy them now. But like for speculation purposes, I don't know. No.
Also, this is not related to the banned and restricted list, but I just hate owning Tron lands right now because that is just like one reprint away from being miserable.
Mm-hmm.
I sold like 30 playsets of Tron right before UMA come out because I was like, oh, it's definitely in the set. There's no way it's not. I'll sell all my Chronicles Tron lands just out the door.
All your Crontron?
Yes.
All right, next question. Meme Peasant 25 on Reddit asks, what do you think Wizards will do to manage the price of Zendikar fetches? It's their supposed desire to create a new postmodern format without fetches enough of a reason that they won't see a standard set?
Ooh, that I mean, yeah, it's so close to when the cutoff might be. They don't like fetches in standard, but I'd ask Gavin about it. Like, hey, why are you printing shitty cards like that elf that can only search the top 4 and you could whiff on getting a land? Is that because you don't want to do fetches anymore? He's like, that's not necessarily a thing. So they won't confirm that they don't like fetches in standard, but they seem to not like fetches in standard. So
it also
if they had to do some sort of supplementary product, they would do that before they ruin standard with shuffling, I think.
It would also, the other restriction is that it just prevents them from using basic land types on dual lands for like a 2-year span. It's like we're making fetches. That means we can't do BFZ lands, we can't do shock lands, we can't do like the Amonkhet ones, we can't do anything like that because fetches exist. So it really restricts their design space in other basic land cycles or other dual land cycles.
Only a little bit, because they've been real good at doing stuff that, like I don't know. Yeah. I don't think it restricts them all that much, but like I think they don't. If they do a postmodern format, I don't think they want fetches in there for sure.
Well, we know they're going to do a postmodern format, right? Maro's on the record saying it's not an if, but when.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, can you imagine, like, when it's been 35 years since Mirrodin came out? Yeah. So there's no way it would never happen.
Second part of his question: what happens first? Wizards gets rid of the reserve list, or DJ becomes
whatever the second part is. Wait, what was the question? What was the second part?
DJ becomes an official host.
I mean, we technically hit a Patreon goal a while back that made me an official host, but
I know.
Yeah, but nobody acknowledges that, so we're never. I think this podcast will end before either of those things
happens in the last episode. Coffee.
Hang on. Let me pound out some of these chat questions real quick. Why didn't Chromatic Star get a reprint in UMA? Probably because it didn't fit with the limited
touch
format.
Yourself?
Also because the limited format. It didn't fit with that. Are the uncommon legends from Dominaria a pick from bulk? Just Tatyova. You're an official host to me, DJ. Oh, thank you. Should I trade 5 duels? I just bought 5 duels. Should I trade 3 of them for a near mint trop? I don't know, man. If you need the tropicals, sure.
It seems like this seems like the underpriced stuff has more upside than something that's peaked. Like
I don't know, man.
So I don't like it.
Does the rise of Arena and possible slow death of MTGO mean that Legacy will see less and less players? No. Will this have an effect on Legacy staples long term? No.
Probably
Legacy
not.
players already have their decks. Like 90% of Legacy players for the next 12 months already have their decks. And Arena is not going to kill Legacy.
Arena is just going to be Arena's like, it's like, hey, you remember when Duels of the Planeswalkers killed Magic Online? I don't know, man. I kind of think it's just going to drive growth, but it's a different product. I think a lot of people are doing both, and I think that's legit.
Yeah, Arena is fantastic for Magic, and it's not going to kill anything. What banning or unbanning in Modern, Legacy, and EDH will either kill or save the format? Banning Soul Ring in EDH, I think, would be very bad.
I don't think you need to do anything.
I agree. Is Pauper a stable market to dive in for finance? It's a very good market for you to pick things out of bulk from.
A very great format to get your deck ripped off by a master set reprints.
Yeah.
So yeah, buy bulk and then pick it for Pauper. What are you expecting?
Basically, yeah.
Do you think there's a mass artifact reprint coming up, like Mox Opal and this is from the same guy from Chromatic Star? No. I don't think they have any mass artifact reprint coming up. Mox Opal they're gonna save for some sort of Modern Masters-esque thing 2 years down the road.
Sheesh, I can't imagine what the price of Mox Opal will be at that point.
Did you say
Assuming
sheesh?
it doesn't.
Did you say the word sheesh out loud?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's cool.
Coffee Cakes on Reddit wants to know, what are your thoughts on the whole standard plus thing on Arena? I would assume that that paper will pick it up to some degree. Do you guys see any picks for that?
What do you mean by standard plus?
The new postmodern format. that's predicted to be coming in the next rotations.
That's like the GRN question where it's like, what do you think these unknown cards will do to change? Like, I don't know, man. It depends on what the format is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of speculation about it, like whether it will begin at Ixalan or whether it will begin at Eldritch Moon or not Shadows over Innistrad, but because there's a predated file that says Arena Modern and had sets all going back to Shadows, but I mean, it's all speculation.
That is a question better reserved for somebody who has already like tested and built decks for those formats. Like, I don't know, man. It's a great question to ask, like somebody who's going to test in that. Like, maybe you could put in the work. Like, if you want to like just theory craft all these decks and like figure out what's good and get ahead of everyone else, that's a great idea. I'm just not the person to answer that question. Is Pauper worth getting into? Yes, it's a very good format. If you want to just like play powerful Magic for cheap, it's a very good format. Is it the next big thing? Probably not. It's
not the next big thing. It's pretty old.
Like Pauper's been around for a while. It is a great format. It will be. I should preface this. It was a great format. It's probably going to be a miserable format for the next few months until they ban at least 1 or 2 blue cards, because foil does not seem great for the format where Gush is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I think they need to ban like either Delver or Preordain or Ponder or Brainstorm. Brainstorm you probably don't need to ban, but like Gush or that format has like cards where they're restricted in vintage. It's crazy. So,
yeah, Brainstorm is not that great in a format with no fetches.
Yeah, the best part about Brainstorm is this, that it flips a Delver. So it doesn't like draw you as many cards and get rid of as many bad cards as it does in Legacy. It just sets up your Delver better.
Yep.
Another Arena question. Arena's great. I don't think it kills Magic Online. How high can Mox Up will get? Like 110, 120? People aren't willing to shell out over that much for a card eventually. Like it hits a point where like Goyf was like 150 and people were like, okay, this is too much. I'm just not buying it.
Goyf theoretically just not play the deck.
Yeah, Goyf theoretically like could have went higher, but it just doesn't because there's like an emotional no, I'm not paying 600 for a set kind of thing. So if Mara was an animal, what would he be? A Chihuahua.
I don't know.
A koala.
Something that can drive to work, right?
Platypus Down on Reddit asked, we all know UMA was an awesome set.
No, not all of us do.
Do we all know that? Because I felt like I encountered a lot of fucking resistance on that one.
It made a lot of modern and EDH staples and fringe cards much more affordable. Are there any support cards in common decks that we should be paying attention to right now? Corbin mentioned...
Like Manamorphose already jumped.
The support cards, it's not so much like, oh, this is part of a deck infrastructure, it's going to go up as this gets played more. It's more like, this didn't get reprinted and everyone noticed. So, like, there's bannable stuff, sure, like if you want to buy your Ancient Stirrings or whatever, but like, I think when Manamorphose didn't get printed, it jumped and everybody noticed, and everything else is probably a lower value play than that.
Well, with Infect coming back into Modern relatively strong, do you think that like your Blighted Agents and your Glistener Elves are pickups, considering they got a bunch of support cards reprinted?
Sure, pull them out of bulk.
That's also a card where like I keep thinking it's about to get reprinted and then it doesn't. So one of these days it's going to get reprinted and you're going to get your pants pulled down. So I don't want to own those cards. It's also like I'd rather sell it into an Infect meta than try to sell into an Infect meta 3 months from now. Do you listen to any non-finance podcasts? If so, what are they?
No.
Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, 99% Invisible by Robert Mars or Rowan Mars, I think his name is.
You sound like a Reddit thread right now.
They're good podcasts. I'm sorry they're not like hipster enough for you.
That's fine. My wife listens to a bunch of podcasts, and I'm sure we're gonna have to listen to some bullshit on the way to. We got a 10-hour drive tomorrow, so I'm sure it's just gonna be a bunch of.
Is it
bullshit.
worth targeting
Sawbones or some shit? She likes Sawbones.
What is? I don't know what that is.
I hate that. It's that dude that dude that it's like
the McElroy brother.
Yeah, Justin McAvoy or something, and it's his hot sounding smart wife who's like, I'm a doctor, and then he will interrupt her to say a stupid joke, and she's like, anyway, as I was saying, and it's just the cringiest shit ever, because I can't stand him or his dipshit brothers, and they're like, one of us is on 90% of the podcasts in America, and it's just him interrupting his smart wife, and it's just the most annoying, because he's not funny, but he's the funny guy on a podcast where the other person is a much funnier, smarter person. So he's sort of like, oh, you would be good at podcasting. I podcast. Let's do it. And like it doesn't need him at all. Like any other person, like her bag of doctor's tools would be a better co-host than him. And it's just him. She makes a really funny joke that he doesn't get because he's dumb, and then he like makes a fart noise into the mic, and that's the podcast. I hate it, and my wife loves it because it's interesting. Because it turns out the dude's wife's real smart. So
she has a name, Jason. God.
Yeah, her name's McAvoy because she married a dipshit. So yeah, that's the kind of crap we listen to. Serial. We listen to whatever she downloads. Like Love It or Leave It. All the political shit. All those are good actually. Marketplace podcast. Yeah, just all the NPR crap, and then all the John Lovett stuff. So yeah, I listen to my wife's podcast because when she drives, I'm a captive audience.
Sydney is her name. Thank you, Ken.
What a nerd. She's not gonna fuck you just because you looked up her name online, man.
Could a paper version of Hearthstone and/or Artifact hurt Magic? No, because those games can literally not exist in paper because of the mechanics and gameplay. Like,
and the fact that they like issue errata digitally.
Yeah, there's cards that say add 4 copies of this to your deck and shuffle it. There's cards that say that change the text of your other cards while they're still in your deck. Like, the mechanics just do not work.
Yeah.
Also, Artifact looks like it's going to be dead shortly after arrival.
Jesus, what happened?
The player the graph on the player base is just a terrible.
It's a Valve game. It's behaving as expected for a Valve game, right?
Well, I mean, I think it's largely because it's really terrible to watch on stream. Like, because there are 3 different boards going on, it's hard to keep all of that in your head if you're not the one playing the game, and it's like not fun to casually watch either. So, Jason, K421 asked, can you please recommend some good samurai and or kung fu movies?
Okay. My kung fu movie recommendations are going to be pretty basic because I like modern stuff. I like Shaolin Soccer and Kung Fu Hustle and shit like that. For samurai movies, I go real old school. I think that the 3 best samurai movies are, and this is going to sound really unsurprising, Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, and Sanjuro. Now, that's all Kurosawa. I realize I sound like a fanboy, but I don't think it gets any better than Toshiro Mifune Kurosawa movie. So Yojimbo was remade as a fistful of dollars, I think, and Sanjuro was made as for a few dollars more, maybe, with Eastwood. I like when they did that, the spaghetti western remake of Kurosawa stuff. I thought there were some scenes in The Magnificent Seven that were better than the equivalent scene in Seven Samurai, and Seven Samurai is like a top 10 movie for me. So for samurai movies, you can't go wrong with Kurosawa. I think Yojimbo and Sanjuro, if you haven't seen both of those, they're perfect. As far as like other stuff, they made one in like the mid 2000s called Twilight Samurai with the dude from The Ring and Last Samurai, and he's done a bunch of other shit. It's not Ken Watanabe, it's the other dude with like the Van Dyke facial hair. He was the dude that was always sparring with Tom Cruise in Last Samurai. He did a movie called Twilight Samurai, which I thought was really good. It was about a dude whose wife died, and like he used to be the shit, and he's trying not to be a samurai. He could make a lot of money teaching people. Like, for whatever reason, I love the period in Japan when feudalism was ending, and like there are all these people like, I got all these samurai skills, and they're like, yeah, but we're trying to be America with railroads and shit now. And like, where do those people? It displaced a lot of people that are still like part of the Bushido lifestyle, and they have all this different code, and like the landscape is completely changing and leaving these people behind. For whatever reason, I love movies that are set in that like time period, like that like 10-year period. And as corny as it sounds, Last Samurai was a good fucking movie. I actually like that movie. Like, despite Tom Cruise, who was just like, whatever. For whatever reason, when the whole Oscar's so white thing was like, how can you have a white dude be the Last Samurai? Because I saw the movie. What? How could you not have a white dude be in that role? What are you talking about? So, whatever. I like Last Samurai. Sue me. It's a little bit of a bait. It's the movie Dances with Wolves, but with samurai instead of Native Americans. And it was dumb Oscar bait, and it didn't get there, but Ken Watanabe's in that movie, and he's great. Tom Cruise is allowed to be in movies for some reason. So I watched the shit out of a bunch of samurai movies. So those I think are the best, even though they're sort of like the obvious picks. I think they're obvious for a reason. Like, you're not going to drill down and find some samurai movie made by some dipshit in 1958 that was like is better than Yojimbo. So like, just don't try. Just watch Kurosawa. Like, and Kurosawa's non-samurai shit was good. I think High and Low is probably his second best movie, and that was set in like the 1950s. So like, maybe just Kurosawa's great. I don't know. I realize I sound like a fanboy, but again, that's just my opinion.
Kurosawa's movies are amazing, and personally, I think Seven Samurai is his best movie. But I'm a fan. Like, I know John Sturges, anyway, who made the original Magnificent Seven in the 1960s, was functionally just ripping off completely Seven Samurai, but that movie is also top notch.
Well, it was good, and he put together. It was a great homage to it. Whatever, like it was a ripoff, but it's like a lot of Western movies set in that era were ripoffs of. And it was how you bring those stories to an American audience, and it's like, I ain't reading no subtitles.
I can't read my movies. You'll alienate half your listener base. Okay, here's another one for you. All right, since DJ has been repeatedly congratulating himself on being right about his bold prediction for UMA that will cause price drops.
Did you see the people that argued with me on Twitter? That was not.
How about an assertion of whether your doomsaying over Nexus of Fate was correct?
Ooh.
I don't think
the way this guy remembers it, you were like, "Oh, Nexus of Fate's bad."
Yeah, I don't think I ever doomsayed over Nexus of Fate.
Well, he says you did.
It was a bad precedent.
It still is.
I mean, they'll never do a card that good again, and it's like $8 now. So who gives a shit about any of it?
So he goes on to say it was never an expensive card, blah blah blah, and it hit its bottom at about $10, and is rebounding now with people's expectations of the Azorius Guild coming out.
The price of Nexus of Fate isn't why I hated the idea of exclusive buy a box foil only cards. I think I already said that in the cast.
Yeah,
it was never about the fact that the card could be expensive. It was the fact that it's an exclusive only card that is only in the buy a box promo that I didn't like.
Well, I just think it was funny that people like, so I got to buy a box of my LGS. This is BS. And then later they're like, oh, what does it care about the LGS? They're selling on Amazon. You're gonna kill the I thought you cared about the LGS. Like, the same people made those same dumb arguments in that order. So what are you gonna do, man? Like, Nexus of Fate actually turned out fine. It was expensive for a little bit, and then it turns out it was in a deck that was too hard for most people to play. Like, you're not LSV. You don't need 4 Nexus of Fate. Calm down. And then they're like, "Oh, we're sorry. We'll never make it. Here's a shitty 27 mana 15/15 worm."
That card's
there.
great.
It actually,
I like those. Those are the great kind of buy a box promo. The big dumb monsters that like casual players love. That card's amazing for me.
I mean, I sell Sunspeaker and Sun Song and Fire Speaker and Fire Song, whatever.
Yeah,
I sell those, but like people bitch about that too. Like, oh, it's a bad precedent.
I still don't like the fact that it's a buy a box only.
Well, it's never going to happen. They'll never have a good one again. So you win. Congrats. You have no reason to buy a box at the LGS now. You got your way. Congrats.
Not about that, but okay. Okay.
I mean, not you specifically. I just mean everyone that has that dumb opinion that you share.
All right, last one from Reddit. Buy Lemon asks, have you guys thought about or partake in buying and selling other TCG or collectibles?
Yeah, I briefly thought for 10 seconds about the Final Fantasy card game because it seems real loose, and then I'm like, I would have to learn a card game. But there is Final Fantasy TCG being sold on TCG players, so that could be a thing. I don't know. As much as Magic players are like incels, you talk to people who play other card games, you're like, oh shit, I can't wait to go back and talk to Magic players. So like, I don't know, man. Who's playing the Final Fantasy TCG? Is it like disgraced former Magic people? Is it like people that don't have the social skills to play Magic at the LGS? Like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of afraid of that whole player base. Plus, there aren't a lot of places to play that game around me. I thought, oh, Final Fantasy trading card game, that's a no-brainer, but like no one's into it, so I'm not going to get into it. I thought about it. I thought about getting into Pokemon like 8 years ago, and then I was like, oh, you can just die in your first turn? Fuck that. So
no, I like the Pokemon TCG. I don't think I have the time to get into it. I still buy Pokemon cards. Like, if somebody brings me Magic cards and they also have Pokemon cards, I will buy the Pokemon cards just because I know.
I pay a bulk rate because I know that the Pokemon bulk rate is 10 times the Magic bulk rate.
Yeah, like Pokemon bulk's insane, and it's not super hard if you know anything about Pokemon in general to determine which cards are good and worth money. So it's not hard to figure out which ones are looking up and which cards are pulling out of Pokemon bulk. So that's not the most difficult market to get into if you're looking for an ancillary card game that's not Magic, but I would stray away from anything else.
Yeah. But I'm subscribed to the Final Fantasy TCG subreddit, so I still get like, oh, look at this card that was spoiled and all this shit. I'm like, I don't understand any of this because I still don't know how to play the card game.
Speaking of spoilers, we've got just 10 minutes or so before we want to wrap up. You guys want to hit any of your favorite spoilers that came out this week?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Sorry. The fact that Afterlife says Afterlife 1 and not just Afterlife probably means
there's
Afterlife.
There's multiple. Like they said that in the article that it came out with, that there's other cards that have a higher number.
Did they? All I remember was seeing Evan Irwin do a Twitter poll where he said, how high do you think they'll go?
No, it's in the guilds.
Do you think I read those articles? I should, but I don't. I hate Zagana. I like Simic Ascendancy. I like Growth Spiral a lot, but that's because Growth Spiral is going to go in 5 of my decks that already have Explorer in them. I
think Growth Spiral might be modern playable. Like being able to hold up counter magic, and then if they don't do anything, make an extra land drop and draw a card and cantrip might be modern playable.
And what deck, though?
Well, it would have to be like a Bant control type deck.
Oh, so a deck that doesn't exist. You think people are going to develop a brand new archetype?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's brand new. That that deck does sort of exist. Like it's got Jace and it runs Corsair of Crufix and Steve, and it just basically ramps into your 4-drops Planeswalkers on turn 2 and 3.
Simic Ascendancy is not busted in EDH.
It's okay in EDH. I don't.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a win more card.
Yeah, you know what was already good in Simic?
Like
Helix Pinnacle.
Yeah.
Helix Pinnacle is about as hard to get off as Simic.
Or like Epic Struggle, or like Biovisionary, or any of the other alternate win conditions.
Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. Yeah.
So
Biovisionary, you just kick a right of replication and then pass the turn.
Right. It is not hard to find alternate win conditions among the Simic card pool, is my point.
Yep. Hey, Norbs is here 5 minutes before we stop. All right. You made it.
Kyle's going to have an aneurysm if we don't answer his reserve list question.
I know. That's why I don't want to do it, because he keeps bugging us. Kyle, type in the chat what your Patreon level is.
Patreon shaming.
I'm just listing dumb busted cards. Simic Ascendancy is busted the same way that like Miles Aria is busted. It's like, ooh, if you have 25 billion power, you win the game. Yeah,
you win the game anyway because you have 25 billion power, idiot. Why don't you just attack with your I have a 40/40 trample creature. Cool.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, like there are
commands. Yeah, but no one asked you though. You're just here to
if it has 20 or more growth counters on it, you win the game. Like there's so many like that's so redundant.
Well, I mean, I can think of lots of times that I've put a total of 20 +1/+1 counters over the course of a game on my creatures, but I didn't win that game because I kept getting board wiped.
Right, so this gets board wiped.
It's an enchantment. It doesn't get board wiped.
Yes, it does.
Well, I mean, it can, I guess, like with Merciless Eviction or something. Austere Command.
What are you taking out? Anytime someone says something good in a deck, cool, what are you taking out?
Yep.
In my Azuri deck, I'm probably going to take out...
Kyle Reed, what's your Patreon level? I would love to answer your question. Just answer a question.
0 now after that comment.
Oh, he went down.
You just jam it in any counter deck.
Oh, shut up, Dana. Dana is he's famous for the EDH Rec Slack channel for just bitching about Simic. I don't want to hear it.
Corbin hates Simic.
Corbin hates Simic because he got #4merfolk.
That's it's an old Brainstorm Brewery meme, but you remember like my 5th episode on the podcast where I did that sorority letter where I read it as the Simic letter? That was fun. Kyle's really a $5 patron. Should we read his thing? Should we answer his question?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, you're a $5 patron. That's what we want, man.
In their winter lull. I mean, buy duels at their low.
He's going to drop to $1 if we don't answer his question. What was he asking about? The reserve list?
Duels at their low?
Do you think TCG resetting all their graphs isn't having a similar effect on speculators realizing it's trending graphs? Guys, asked us a lot of questions.
Nobody reads TCG graphs. Should I buy reserve list staples at their low? Yes.
No, because like, what's he asking? You know what's at its low? Catacomb Dragon. Like, I don't know. Reserve list staples? Sure.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's like, sure.
All reserve list cards are correct. Nah. I don't think all reserve list cards are corrected. I don't know, man. Reserve list is dumb because you got people making bad faith buys. Oh, okay. So like someone on Twitter was like, "Hey, Jason, what about Paradigm Shift?" I was like, "Paradigm Shift is trash." And then people started replying to my comment that were like just EDH people are like, "No, I think I could use Paradigm Shift in this." I'm like, "Nope, it's trash." They're like, "But blah blah blah. You know what? I could build it." Blah blah blah. So everyone was talking about how great Paradigm Shift was, and then that card went up like $2 that week, and I was like, "No." It went up because we talked about it, and I said no. The finance guy said no, and everyone's like, "I'm just gonna buy a copy." Just no, just because you say the name of a reserve list card doesn't mean it needs to go up, man. Reparations didn't get better. People got worse at speculating. That's what happened. People got lazier. So
very good
I think reserve list staple is sure, but like people were talking about, let's do a coordinated buyout on Catacomb Dragon. Eat my farts. No way. Come on. So, like, I think reserve list staples at their low, sure, they're not going anywhere but up. But, like, just because something's on the reserve list, it's got to have some other basis to it. Otherwise, you're buying a card that's never going to go down, and then it never goes up either because no one's buying it. So, like, it should be twofold. I think reserve list should make you feel better about its reprint risk, and that should make you feel ballsy enough to buy in on something that has some other sort of justification. I don't think reserve list status is enough of a justification to buy a card. Otherwise, I'd be buying Paradigm Shift right now, and I'm not. So that's my answer to your question. I think if you're buying for a different reason, great. Reserve list is gravy, but I don't think it's the entree. Gravy's not a meal.
Why do you keep asking questions? We just answered it. You're just peppering us with singles now, like Yawgmoth's Will, playable stuff, duels.
He's clarifying. He's clarifying because I'm talking about Catacomb Dragon. He's over here talking about Cradle. Now, I get it. I just don't. I think it's got to have some other justification other than reserve list status. Reserve list status makes it safer than some other staple, but I think all staples are great because they're staples.
I said yes. I answered your question like 5-10 minutes ago. I just said yes. You said, should I buy reserve list staples? Then I said yes, and then you ignored me.
Hey, no one's listening to you. He's asking the host. Anyway, that's a real awkward way to roll across the 10 o'clock hour. That was our podcast, everybody. We thank you so much for joining us and asking questions in the chat. We thank you so much for listening. We had a lot of people interact with us during this live AMA. Thank you for submitting your questions to Reddit. We said your dumb, weird Reddit handle. And if I didn't like your question, I'm going to go see all the creepy stuff that you've posted on the subreddits where women post pictures of themselves, and then I'll judge you. Otherwise, thanks for giving us questions on Reddit. Thanks for being patrons. Go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. Thanks so much for giving us money. You've given us so much money that we have no choice but to have our wives come on the podcast. And,
yeah, somebody asked when that is. We did not plan to hit that goal so early.
Until 2019.
That's not like a joke. We genuinely...
We didn't think it would ever happen.
1750, and we're like, oh, we should start planning the chair thing because we hit 1750. And then we blinked, and it was at 2000. And so now we're planning two things at once. Jason still has to break the news to his wife that she has to do this contractually.
And yeah, she can't be drunk.
Oh.
I don't know if you people know, but my wife is like 4 or 5 months pregnant with our son, so I don't want her drinking as much as she used to. I don't like as much as I want my son to be a beer and wine connoisseur. I don't think he needs.
You don't want DHS knocking on your house halfway through the podcast?
It's bad enough my wife's like trying to explain that we're having a kid. So she's like, Mommy's got a baby in her belly. And our 3-year-old daughter's like, I got a baby in my belly too. And I was like, don't say that. CPS is going to come take Daddy's computer. And he needs that to podcast. Don't tell people the baby. I'm home with you all day. Don't say that.
Just wait like 12 years to drop that bomb on me.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining us for this live episode. This has been Brainstorm Brewery. I'm your only host, Jason Auld. I've been joined by two guests, Mr. Douglas Johnson and Mr. Jonathan Jackson.